So we can start a little bit of small talk chit chat if you would like before we officially dive into the cosmic energy update. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving time with your family, good holiday get together if you do that sort of thing. Uh, I had been getting ready all, feels like all month, for the holiday. I had family come in, which was really wonderful. So, not only did we have our kind of big extended family meal and all of that, but we had lots of good family time downtown and see a movie and saw the Christmas tree lighting on Gay Street and all that kind of stuff. So, we had a really great time together. So, any questions, commentary, or things that you are feeling right now energetically that you are either picking up on or seeing maybe a shift or a change in your lives right now? I know that I have been really tired the last couple weeks. Definitely the last week and a half, I've been tired. Um, okay, yeah, crazy energy for you. Crazy energy as far as like big friction energy. Okay, not able to sleep. Yeah, I've either done that where either I've just been so exhausted because I felt so tired all day and I'm like I have to go to bed. I have to stop working on whatever I'm working on and I try to go to sleep. Or if I like get a weird second wind, then it's like 3 o'clock in the morning before I'm able to fall asleep. So that has been weird for me too. My dreams have been very vivid this whole time as well. Mind racing, all right. Uh, do you feel that your mind racing and kind of sleeplessness, do you think that is that feel like it's stress related or even like picking up on like the cosmic, worldly stress, or do you feel like that's something kind of more personal for you if you want to share, or maybe like astrological happenings for getting into Mercury retrograde shadow period? Okay, so fall asleep and then wake back up. Yeah. It's kind of interesting, like about time zones. For, like where we are, we're like, okay, this is our time to go to bed, whatever. And then we think, on the other side of the world, I mean, there's like maybe that's when they're waking up, and there's things going on as well. And yeah, so if you're feeling like personal stress or just a lot of things kind of going on, whether it's your personal life, your personal sphere, families, whatever. This is a very busy time of year, externally busy. And like I've talked about before with our energy updates that we've done, that we're coming into the time of where we really want to be hibernating. We want to be going within. We want to be quiet and introspective and staying just safe and warm. And yet the holidays and the rushing around and all these additional things that we have to do and buy and all that, it's really kind of like counter to how we're really wanting to be as more of this kind of human animal hybrid. So I know that really does cause a lot of kind of upset in your biorhythms and your mental state and all of that kind of stuff. So hang in there, do some kind of self-care stuff as much as you can. Try to be drinking like enough water and to stay grounded. Very practical information, but very helpful as well. Jenny says the entire fall has been one not so great surprise after another. Staying as grateful as she can. The not so great fall of 2023. So there have been, astrologically speaking, and we've hit on this a couple of times with the previous energy updates, but there has been a lot of astrological energies that have really been riling things up, that have been really bringing a lot of like aggression and problems to the surface. And it's not like if you're experiencing those things in your own personal life, it's not like you're being punished, really. I'm not saying that, but it's just like where energy needs to shift and move. Sometimes it can come up as like a tower moment or multiple tower moments, that cause a lot of upheaval and disruption in our lives. But like when we get on the other side of that, we might be able to have the hindsight and look back and go, oh my gosh, like, that really, it was really painful, it was really challenging, but it really needed to be cleared out of my life. Or, I was making room for other things that were better suited for where I'm going in my life. So, not trying to like just put a silver lining on everything, or minimize the challenges that you've had. And it sounds like you've had a lot, right? The entire season of fall, right? It's probably like late summer all the way through now. And you're like, when is this going to end? But, healing, and clearing can be really, really messy work. And, the best advice, and this is just like preaching to the choir here, but the best advice that I can give you is the least resistance that we have, the less amount of friction that we have when it comes to changes in our life, then that stuff, it still may not be pleasant, but it can happen maybe a little more swiftly. But then of course, if we're like, what's going on, I'm like freaking out here, and then we put, fear, or it's like, I can't handle anymore, like, which is justifiable. I mean, it's understandable. But when we put that kind of energy into the situation, then it's kind of like, creates more chaos and friction. So sometimes it's just like relaxing into that, surrendering into that, which is, I know, so hard and so scary, especially if you've got trust issues, especially if you've gone through like traumatic things in the past and you're just like, wow, I barely made it through that. Like, how am I going to make it through this? We are amazing, resilient creatures, and sometimes it is just kind of relaxing into that flow and getting caught up in it and just getting carried, to the next space that we're going. And I feel that we really are moving towards greener pastures, and of course we want to be present. We want to be appreciating the now, which is sometimes really hard when things are rough. But that healing, that excavation process is really painful, and then healing can be difficult sometimes too. But the point is to move forward, and to raise your vibration and to align with the timeline that you really, really came here to experience. Yes, awesome. So Ashley says, they've been trying to walk barefoot. Yes, just take those shoes off. Most of our shoes have rubber, plastic, whatever on the bottom, and it really kind of prevents our body from grounding and connecting. Just, think if you like, if you live in like a second story apartment or something like that, you've got quite a bit of a gap between you and the earth as well. So anytime that you can take your shoes off, even just kind of stand on the grass or on the earth for a little while, visualizing as well is helpful, hugging a tree, all of those things. Yeah, those are fantastic. Yeah, okay. So yeah, Jenny, hang in there. I know, change and upheaval and like the unrelenting, flow of change can be really, really challenging. So hang in there, and self-care stuff is so good for us, right? Okay. So thank you for sharing that, you all. I appreciate your comments and insight. I think that we are all connected. We all have our own individual things that we're going through, but we see it kind of mirrored in other people and in other situations, whether it's, people that we just know personally, or, we see a story, or hear something happening to someone, or we see something on the news, whatever, we're all feeling these cosmic waves, right? So, all right. So, I'm gonna transition into the official cosmic energy update. So, welcome to everyone who has joined me tonight. My name is Meleah, and I am with Inner Perfect. I am the head witch at the helm. And Inner Perfect is, it started not even as Inner Perfect. I've had the name Inner Perfect for actually longer than I've had my shop. But it was kind of like this little precious thing that I was like, what is this going to turn into? And Slowly but surely, I started putting the Inner Perfect name on products that I would make, things that were handmade, energetically charged by me. And then a couple of years ago, I officially launched Inner Perfect as a rebrand and put that out into the public sphere as far as like, this is who I am, this is what I do. And everybody's like, what happened to Curiosities, right? But when I started my business, as far as like my shop, which was in 2010, it originally was called the Peacock, because I love peacocks and I love just kind of that energy of just how graceful and proud and strong peacocks are. And I had a very challenging first year open, and I honestly will not go into that, but let's just say be very careful who you invite in to help you with your business. I'll just say that, because the peacock ended up not moving forward after the first year. I had to move, and then I started Downtown Curiosities. It was the first incarnation of Curiosities, and I wasn't actually downtown. I was in South Knoxville, but I was like, I'm pretty close to downtown, you know. And then it just kind of meshed into Curiosities Metaphysical Shop. So, you know, I've evolved and changed and grown so much over the decade plus time that I've been in business. And the whole point of Inner Perfect and like what this is now is community, collaboration, education, support, you know, all of those things, like the mind, body, spirit, wellness, and all the things that encompass that. And so as I continue to kind of grow and evolve as a person, professionally, personally, all of that, you see those changes, you know, happen in like what I offer the public, what I offer the community. So look for some other exciting big changes, growth, starting in 2024. I've kind of been, you know, putting a few little things out there about like retreats and workshops that we're going to be offering. I just launched a Patreon page. It's patreon.com/inner perfect. I'm pretty sure it's like just the Patreon. There's really not a whole lot of stuff on there yet, but I've working on getting content on the Patreon page too. So it's like all these things, all these little projects, right? Plus wanting to be totally reclusive and introspective and not really do anything but cozy up to my wood stove. So anyway, all right. So we are getting ready to enter Mercury retrograde shadow period. And most of you are probably familiar with Mercury retrograde. Mercury is governs communication, technology, can even govern like travel. And so when Mercury is retrograde, there might be minor or major inconveniences associated with any of those things. So that's why it's always encouraged that when Mercury is actually retrograde, that you don't get married, you don't like sign contracts, you don't try to enter agreements during that time because of the kind of communication faux pas that may be possible. It doesn't mean that if you have to sign a lease or you do get married or whatever, that it is going to be the worst thing ever. Okay, it doesn't, it's not like a karmic sentence, you know, but it can mean that there could be a little bit of like delays, you know, like something getting lost in the mail, emails not going through, your car breaking down, just communication breakdown in general, or just like feeling like you're talking but you're just not really talking about the same thing, you know, you're not getting, you know, the message is not getting through. So that's just why, you know, those certain things especially are kind of like, just hold off, because Mercury retrograde is only for, it might be 30 days, it might be, you know, 40 days. It's not very long. It could even be, you know, just a couple of weeks. And Mercury does go retrograde a couple times, you know, in the year. So it's not like it's a really, really big once in a lifetime type thing too. It's just something that we kind of have to deal with every once in a while. And, you know, as you know, that with a retrograde, it's that on Earth, as we're standing here, if we were to be actually looking at Mercury when it appears to go retrograde, first it stations like direct, or like seem like instead of moving forward that it's stopping. And that's actually a very significant time too, because it's just like there, and it's just like this pregnant pause. Okay. And then it appears to then start to go in reverse. Now the planets don't actually go backwards. It's just as the orbit of the Earth around the sun, and then all of the other planets, and not all the planets, it's not like this tight circle. It might be in ellipses. Things kind of, all are beautifully orchestrated, but it just may seem kind of wonky at times. And so from our vantage point on Earth, it just seems like, like Mercury, or other planets that go retrograde too, that they're appearing to go in reverse. And so sometimes, like I said, people will experience those technology, mechanical things, communication things, not working out, being confusing or backwards. But sometimes, like I said, there's just a delay. There's a delay, and really a retrograde is a wonderful time for a review. A retrograde is a wonderful time for the energy, instead of it moving like swift and fast, moving forward, right? Where maybe you don't even feel like you can catch up. It's sluggish and it's slow, and it's also maybe giving you a chance to review something from the past, maybe from a previous Mercury retrograde, or a prior time in your life, or situations from the past, revisiting something. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm so nostalgic. It could be that, but it's also maybe to see if there's any loose ends from last time that you need to kind of wrap up now, and you have that more slow energy to be able to do that without feeling rushed. It could also be the revisit of situations, themes, energies, people, communication that, is from the past, that is done, that there are no loose ends. And it's just almost like a review, like a cosmic review that says, do you remember this? Do you remember when, like, who you were and where you were at when you went through this? And how does that feel? Where do you, what's the check-in now? How are you in your present moment? And sometimes it really, really gives us that fantastic perspective of, I have grown and changed so much, or, I've learned so much from this experience, and have been able to integrate that and now use that as a springboard in my current my current life. So it's actually, as much as it gets a bad rap, it's actually a really wonderful time for, like I said, review, kind of that check-in to see, where you were, where you're at, and where you'd like to be going. Make those maybe minor shifts or adjustments. And it can bring some closure for you too. It can bring closure if there's something that maybe you haven't even fully realized that you have moved past something, or you have healed, or gotten over a situation, whatever. It'll be like, oh my gosh, I'd kind of forgotten about that, or I'd become thankfully unfamiliar with that old version of me, or those energies, and it's like a reminder, like, wow, we are growing, we are evolving, we are changing constantly, but it is a nice check-in as well. So Mercury retrograde has not officially started yet, but we are in the shadow period, and the shadow period means that it's getting close. It will actually, shadow period will be here for a couple of weeks, but it's just kind of start preparing, start kind of getting ready, right? So if there are any contracts, agreements, car repair, computer stuff, whatever that you're like, I kind of, been putting this off, or feeling like I might need to address this, get it done now. Like, just go ahead and wrap up those things now if you can, so that when the full energy of Mercury retrograde is in effect, then it's not just like bearing down on those things, that you haven't maybe, addressed or maintained, or whatever it is. And if it's something that you can maybe hold off on, like signing something, agreeing to something, whatever, even trying to like launch like launch something, like for your business, or like make a big announcement or whatever like that, you probably want to schedule that around to where it is not during Mercury retrograde, to where it's either before or after, maybe postpone until after, and then you'll kind of have that forward moving push of energy that will really propel along your communication, and it will be received, it will be heard, more clearly when Mercury is direct again. Okay, but we also have the winter solstice that is coming up. That's always around the 21st, 22nd of December, and the solstice in the winter is the longest night. The solstice is the shortest day, and I mean, I'll tell you what, it was like 5:30. It was starting to get dark tonight, and I was like, is it already 6 o'clock? Like, what is it? Oh my gosh, it wasn't even 6, and it was starting to get dark. I would never survive somewhere, like Alaska or something, if it was just perpetual day or perpetual night. Like, it would more power to those people who are either from there or can do that. Anyway, but the winter solstice, like I said, is the longest night, and it is traditional to light candles, to kind of lead the way to urge the sun to come back, because the ancient peoples were like, noticing that the days were getting shorter, the nights were getting longer, and then it was, this was this longest night of, is the sun actually, is it going to come back? Did it forget about us? Is it just completely gone away? And we know that doesn't, that's not going to happen, hopefully in our lifetime. If the sun disappears, well, it would definitely end our lifetime very quickly if that happened. But we can understand kind of the symbolism of that, and feel kind of in our DNA and in our, our ancient memories of kind of that fear and that, kind of nervous anticipation that our ancestors would have felt of just like, is the sun going to come back, and knowing how vital the sun is to everything. I mean, our agriculture, plants, animals, our own mood, our biorhythms, our fertility, all of this stuff, not even considering like warmth and, better weather and all that kind of stuff. So the sun is so important to us, and like this time of year, people get vitamin D deficient because they're not out in the sun as much because it's cold, and the sun is just not around as much throughout the day. So I'm not a doctor, and I'm not prescribing or giving you medical advice, but it would probably be a good idea to do a little bit of research on vitamin D supplementation and maybe up your vitamin D intake, especially this time of year. Vitamin D helps our immune system. It helps a lot of things. It's naturally found in like butter, dairy products, but you can take a supplement. They're tiny like little pills, and it just really helps your body stay tip top. And the interesting thing about vitamin D is it's like your body stores it, and you're kind of like topped off, once you kind of like meet your reserves of vitamin D. And then if your body needs to access that because you have been exposed to like a virus or bacteria, your immune system is having to fight something, then it'll kind of like suck up all that vitamin D and use that to help fight that illness. And then if you kind of used your reserves and you aren't getting that in your diet, you're not getting the sunlight that helps your body convert the vitamin D, blah, 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 then your immune system is going to be low, right? So you can actually have your blood tested to see like what your vitamin D levels are if you wanted to go to your doctor or something like that to kind of see where you're at. But like I know for myself, and I'm just telling you what I've done in the past, is that when I do want to supplement vitamin D, and like I said, I'm not prescribing, but I typically will take kind of on like a regular schedule will be about 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, okay, daily. And then if I'm really stressed out, because stress does really affect your immune system as well, or I'm like there's a lot of crud going around or whatever it is, I might bump that to about 20,000 IUs a day. And so do your own research, to kind of see what like an optimal amount might feel like to you. Mushrooms, and I'm not talking about the trippy kind. You want to do the trippy kind? That's fine. But like mushrooms, just like food mushrooms, chaga are very, very high in vitamin D as well. So if you like mushrooms, you can definitely like integrate that into your diet as well. Integrate those into your diet as well. Chaga tea kind of tastes earthy, kind of like coffee a little bit, and that's something that you can drink, daily as well, or like a tincture or something too. Okay. But yeah, vitamin D is easy, and it's definitely something that, we all need, especially more of it this time of year. Okay. So, that was kind of an interesting tangent that I went on. I wasn't planning on talking about that. But then also, I guess it kind of as a segue, I'm glad that came up, that came into my awareness. But, we kind of are getting into the season of the crud, right? I know a couple people who have had the C word, and some other people who are sick, and, like, even if it's like the common cold, even if it's a flu, like our bodies, and we have been exposed to like so much stuff, and our body is very intelligent and, can learn how to build these antibodies and all these things, to help keep us well. But because of this time of year having more stress, right? Us going from a hot inside environment out to the cold, back and forth, and like being in more like recirculated air, because if we're inside and then it's just like whatever anybody's like breathing and putting out is just like circulating around, like all the things, we do tend to have, some sickness and illness this time of year. So, yes, we can get a cold or a virus or anything, because, we're exposed and our body, contracts it, and then our body hopefully fights it, and, then our body kind of learns like, okay, like that's what I do next time if I come into contact with you. So, I mean, it's a wonderful design. But then with stress, and disease, I mean, disease is dis-ease, right? It's so linked to stress. And if our body gets out of a state of equilibrium and our body is just kind of under this assault of nervous energy, anger, fear, all of that kind of stuff, it can bring about disease. It can bring things forward that were maybe dormant or like not active. It can, make our body more susceptible to getting sick and all of that kind of stuff. So, yes, like, your diet, your fresh air, your sunshine, drinking a lot of water, supplements. I mean, there's so many herbs that you can take to boost your immune system as well. But like stress management is so essential. And so, for those of you who say, I am too busy, I am too stressed, all I can do is just try to like just get through and, I'll just try to get on the other side of it. How many times have you all been too busy to do your yoga or meditate or take a bath or like take an afternoon off or whatever it is? How often have you been pushed so hard that you're like, if I can just get through this, just push through, then I can take a break. And then what happens? Well, you get sick. You get sick, and then your body says, well, if you can't get out of bed and you feel like crap, well, you're going to take a break. Sorry. So I would much rather purposely take a break and do things to help me relax, unplug, restore, de-stress, all of those things that I enjoy doing, than having to be laid up in bed, feeling awful. So just think about being proactive. Think about that preventative stuff that you can do to help you manage stress, to help you manage your own internal stress, the stress in your immediate environment, and just the stress that is going on in the world that everybody's putting out there. You know how people get this time of year, like they just, And it doesn't, it's not always that way, but it's like, there's either this joy and this beautiful pay it forward energy, or people are acting like absolute rude children and they don't know how to like drive a shopping cart or like park their car, in orderly fashion. So, take care of yourself. Be mindful of your bubble, of your energy, of what you're putting out there. Take responsibility for that, but then also, what you're absorbing, what you're bringing into your sphere. You may be doing okay, and then you go out into the world, and then you come home and you're like, I feel awful. Well, it's probably just picking up, on so much stuff. So do what you can to clear that out of your energy field. You don't have to carry it. It's not your responsibility. You picked up on what was going on out in the world, probably telling you, okay, well, I need to go back home where it's a little more calm, but it's not your job to carry it. We're releasing the mindset, the understanding of the guilt that we have to carry not only our burdens, but everybody else's burdens, and the ancestral karma burdens and generational trauma and all this stuff. We've been told that we deserve that, and that we have to carry it and feel horrible and punished about it. And, that keeps us from really living in the energy of being able to be expansive, because all we can do is just kind of shut down. And so we can identify it by being empathic, by feeling that, but we want to release it. We want to release it to the universe. We want to ground it out however we want to get rid of that energy, right? And we want to say, I'm going to trust that this is going to be transmuted. This is going to be changed back just into energy, to source. And, I don't deserve, no one deserves to have to carry and bear that karmic weight. I promise, nobody has to. When we take responsibility for any wrongs, any negative energy, thoughts, feelings, whatever that we have experienced or we've embodied, we take responsibility for that, and then we say, okay, is that an energy that I still want to carry with me, that I still want to embody? Or is it something that I'm wanting to shift and I'm wanting to change? And that's really how we do good. That's really how we not only take responsibility, but then we move that energy on through into where we get to where it's something that's going to be expansive and connected, and it's going to, of course, we're going to feel great, but it's going to also help others as well. It's going to uplift others as well. Tell you about something. Some of you already know this. You've already heard it. It's not like a new thing, but it is something that I feel called to share every once in a while. And it is called Ho'oponopono. It's Ho'oponopono. And Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian Huna shamanism practice. Okay, and so you can look it up, you can learn more about it. There are books that have been written about it. There are some fantastic stories about Ho'oponopono applied kind of in our modern world. But there is something called the Ho'oponopono prayer or blessing, and this is what it is. Okay, the prayer, and some people use a different order. This is the order that I use, that I was told and trained to use. But if you see it differently or something, the order of it kind of makes a little more sense to you. It's a mantra, basically. So make those adjustments. But what you do is you say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And you say that kind of, like I said, like a mantra. You would say that repetitively. You could start your day that way as kind of like a focus point. You could say that maybe when you're struggling through a situation, you're upset, as kind of a prayer or benediction or blessing towards another person or situation as well. But when you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, the first part of the mantra, the prayer, that is saying that, I myself take responsibility, not necessarily for, all of the problems on the planet, or all of this generational karmic, stuff. But you're saying, I'm sorry for any negative or on the end of the spectrum, fear, contracted energy that I have embodied and then, put out into the collective, that I have just, exploded with or whatever. I've put that towards someone else. I've heaped it on myself. I'm sorry. Okay. I take responsibility for that. And then you say, please forgive me. And that is where it kind of starts to shift. And you're saying, not that I'm the most horrible person ever and that I deserve to be punished. It's not that. But when you are coming from a place of forgiveness, there is grace, there is surrender. And they're saying, I want to do something about this. I want to shift. I want the energy to be expansive instead of contracting. Okay? And then when you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you, then what you're saying is that you are now choosing to actively shift your energy and that energy to a state of love and to a state of gratitude. And we all know that being in a state of gratitude and love that's where we manifest. Well, we manifest regardless, but that's where we want to be manifesting from. That's where things all fall into place. That's where, our stress is just like melted away, all of that. So I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And I will try to put that in the comments, after the live is done as well. But it is phenomenal, and it sounds so simple. And of course, that is the English translation of the prayer. But I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Is like mind-blowingly life-affirming, changing in your life. It is miraculous, and it's so simple, but it's like it gets all of the bases covered, and it starts with you. It shifts your energy out of a state of being on the fear, the anger end of the spectrum, brings it back to neutral, and then it says, where do I want to blossom and grow from here? It is amazing. And like I said, you could start this as like a mantra, like start your day out this way. It's something that's very helpful if you're in a situation you're having a very hard time working through, you're having a very hard time like not feeling very hurt, angry, upset, whatever, in a situation. It's very transformational when it comes to things like that too. But it's something that, if you're not saying that mantra or that blessing externally, out towards a certain person or situation, but you are first and foremost starting with yourself. You're saying like, I'm sorry, like I forgive me, right? We are the hardest on ourselves. Think of like your negative self-talk and, all the stuff that you still carry that still just maybe on your internal landscape, tucked way down or, in your head or whatever. And you're like trying to put on a happy face or whatever, but it's still there. So to say, that you are sorry to yourself and that you forgive yourself and that you are loving and grateful for yourself, and that's the energy that you want to bless yourself with and embody, like that's transformational in and of itself. Heap it on you. That's always where it starts. But like I said, if there's a person or a situation, especially something, and I can just say this from personal experience more than once, is if there is a person or a situation that you are really struggling with and it is like eating you up inside, you feel so upset about it, you feel like sick to your stomach, that kind of situation, it is really hard. It is really hard to say those words, I'm sorry, please forgive me, to someone that you feel has wronged you, to someone that has maybe betrayed you, or someone who has been very, hurtful or disrespectful or whatever it is. And then to say then, not only that you're sorry and please forgive me for my negativity that I have felt in reaction to your negativity, but then you say, I love you, thank you. It's really challenging sometimes, but I will tell you, it is transformative, and it's not, I know sometimes we feel so justified because we have been so hurt and so wronged and so betrayed and whatever it is. I'm not minimizing any of that for anybody. But when we are able to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, to someone that you feel, justified or not, is just a horrible person, and you're able to say that over and over, it is like a healing balm. And what it does is it changes, it shifts your energy. When we change ourselves and we shift ourselves, then it is like the pebble, the pond, and the ripples. It always needs to start with us. That's how we really make change in the world, is by embodying what we truly want to feel and experience. And okay, so I kind of like skipped there. So that's the point. But then also, when we are able to make our own repairs, our own remedies to be in that place of grace and of acceptance, as much as someone may have wronged you, cheated, offended, hurt, whatever. It's not justifying what they did, but it's saying that you are truly responsible for your own reactions and actions, like from you to the external world. And that doesn't mean that if someone is coming at you and here's an example, okay, which is not hopefully it's not a realistic example, but if you're walking through the woods in primordial, what is now East Tennessee, and a saber-toothed tiger had been stalking you and jumps out and scares the bejesus out of you, and then you react in a way that is, out of fear, anger, but pure survival. And let's say that you, yell and scream, or you pick up an object and you hit the animal, whatever it is, you're defending yourself. You are trying to survive that situation. Justifiably so. Humans want to stay alive, pretty much. But still, because of that situation and how you reacted, and sometimes it's more instinctual, or sometimes it's more, thought and planned out, probably not in the saber-toothed tiger type scenario. But still, there were these shock waves of fear, anger, right, that went out into the world. And that's your responsibility. You're actually not responsible for the tiger. You're not responsible for the poor little baby monkeys who heard you making a kind of a ruckus, whatever it is. But it is truly just your responsibility of how you have reacted. And so when you, even if someone is a person, is really, really not morally or ethically aligned, that does something to you, it doesn't mean that you have to just go, okay, well, I'm not in control of that, or whatever, but it empowers you to take responsibility. When we accept the true responsibility for, like, if something is coming at us or something has been done to us, and it's like, how do we feel? We can acknowledge how we feel. We can cycle through all of those negative feelings, and acknowledging how you feel is very important. But it's just like really ultimately up to you if that's something that you want to carry around as a burden, if it's something that you feel like you need to dive into to understand more, or whatever. But that's your responsibility. So, and I can just, I can say from personal experience that, things have happened to me in my life that were absolutely not my choice. They weren't my fault. They weren't anything that I would have wished on anybody, right? But still, how I chose or how I did respond, react, or not respond, react, then it's like it's in my own personal sphere, and then I move through that, I heal through that. And that's not blaming, that's just saying, like, that is your personal experience, and that's really all that you are responsible for. Jordan. And the first deck that I'm using is called the Spirit Song Tarot. It's by Paulina Cassidy, and each card not only has more of a traditional tarot meaning, but it also has an animal on it. And I love these cards so much because they're just there are so many kind of nuances to the messages and the energies with it. Okay. So the first card that I had that kind of did a nice little flip around here is the Two of Acorns. Acorns would be like fire, okay? And this has a beautiful like a little falcon on it. And this card embodies the energies of like knowing kind of what you like what you're tuning into, what you want, your inner knowing, and then taking that and kind of putting it out into your reality, into where, like, where do I want to focus? Where do I want this to land? Okay, because we're seeing this bird, and it's flying. It's amazing that birds can fly, right? We can't really as humans fly. I mean, I know our bodies aren't made that way, but this bird is just, gracefully just kind of like has flown down, knows where it is going to land, and it is almost just kind of hovering and pausing there, with knowing what it is going for, and it's being very focused. If it was, saw something off in the distance, or if it was not focused on kind of where it was going to land, then it wouldn't be able to very gracefully land and gather these two little acorns, that are right here. Of course, the number 2 embodies, it's not the very beginning, but you're starting to build on that. It's not an ace. And so we have like companionship, we have partnership, we're starting to get like that duality and those like equal opposites as well. So, we are building past the beginning. We're kind of taking maybe some of our things that we know that we've learned or whatever, and we're starting to integrate that into our reality. Okay, so I'm gonna go over each card, and then we'll kind of pull it all together for you as well. Okay, so the next card, and this is the one that I had to escape for just a second, and I had to pick it off of the floor. We have another acorns. Okay, and fire, okay, is like our passion, our inspiration. This is this energy, this is the fire in our gut, that kind of what we're inspired and passionate about. And the giraffe, as we know, giraffes are very tall creatures. They're tall, they have those long necks, they can get all the little tender leaves up in the trees. But this card has to do with your focus. Okay, it's building. This is a 3, we just had the 2. Okay, but this is building on your focus, and it's saying, okay, what is not right here, in my like bird's eye view, but like I'm kind of honing in on what is off into the horizon. Where am I going? Right? Because like a giraffe can like see really far, because like they're not like, tree, all this stuff. They're like, hey, I can see, like, it's like me at a concert. I'm 5'2". I can't really see anything. You see the back of everybody's backs and their heads, but a giraffe's like, oh, I can see everything. Maybe it's great up here. So this has to do with foresight, knowing where you're going, and also embodying that energy of like exploration, that little bit of excitement of where am I going? I can look forward to and anticipate, but it's not like you're just like randomly, aimlessly wandering along. You're kind of, you've got your eye on the prize out there, or at least what direction you're going towards. Okay. And the next card that I pulled, it did not jump. It was on the top of the deck, and it was actually reversed, but I'll show you the card upright here. This is the High Priestess. Okay, and this is the Lynx. Of course, the High Priestess card is, you see the moon here. Okay, this has to do with our intuition. And the High Priestess is like that sacred knowledge, that wisdom that we have within ourselves, that is not just like our own, it's not just our own personal wisdom or whatever. It can be kind of things that we've built or acquired over our lifetime, but it's like bigger than that too. It's what we know that like we're part of, but it's like tapping in or tuning into the sacred knowledge of the universe. And it is our intuition. It is, our intuition is a receiving energy as well. Like our third eye is not projective, it is receptive. It is open and receiving. And so that's how our intuition actually comes to us. It downloads, we receive it, and then it kind of just like sinks in, and then it's a knowing. It's not a, what do I think about this and how can I figure it out? That's not our intuition. That's our logic. That's our ego, which is great tools to have, but that's not our intuition. So it's being in that like surrendered, receptive energy of sacred knowledge. And so when I pulled it, it was reversed. Okay, so it was reversed. And so it's saying, are you not trusting your intuition? Are you feeling cut off from that sacred cosmic knowledge that not only do we have access to, but that we are part of. We are literally part of the cosmos. We are that sacred knowledge, but we like sometimes we just feel like, oh, I don't have access to that, or I'm not very intuitive, or I'm too stressed right now, so my intuition isn't working, or wow, that other person is so much more intuitive than me, or whatever it is. We are all connected. We are all the universe experiencing itself in all these multiple facets, and yet we forget that. We have experiences in our life where our trust in ourselves is eroded. Sometimes people in our lives are really good at trying to erode that trust that we have in ourselves because it's like a total power play. Screw them. Um, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. But we want to turn this around. We want to be in that intuitive, receptive energy. We want to know that we are connected, that we do embody sacred knowledge, and all we have to do is just like relax into that. And then where we're going, what we're supposed to be doing, that we're like, I know I'm supposed to be going somewhere. I know that I am moving towards something, but I don't know what it is yet. Then it's just like it's not, sometimes it's an aha, lightning bolt, light bulb epiphany. Sometimes it is, but so much of it is usually like this graceful knowing. You just know it. You like feel more at peace. You feel this almost like energy like becoming more material and like solid and tangible in your life, whereas before it was just kind of this nebulous thing. So how do we turn this around? I'm going to pull 2 more cards, okay, from this deck. I'm going to pull the card on the bottom, and I'm going to pull the next card on the top. Another exploration card. The little raccoon, he was upside down. Okay. This is the Page of Feathers. Feathers is an air card, okay? And it's our ideas, our thoughts. And this has to do, like I said, with exploration again, just like our giraffe here who is upright. And it has to do with the energy of discovery. You see this little, raccoons are very curious. Raccoons are very mischievous sometimes, right? But they're treasure finders, right? They're, they wash their food. Did you know that? They wash their little hands. They wash their food. They're so cute and scary at the same time, depending on their mood. But this card was reversed. And so I feel like, I'm very curious to see what this one is here at the bottom. But I feel though that because you aren't maybe trusting your intuition, or because you are, kind of doubting that, you're having a hard time relaxing into all of that sacred knowledge that you have access to, that you're also feeling maybe like burned out. You're just like, I don't know if I want to start again, or, I don't want to start in a new chapter, a new adventure, whatever, even if I'm feeling pulled towards that, it's just like, there are these blocks. And sometimes we also feel like, well, I can't move forward. I can't plan. I can't, move towards the horizon when it's like, I don't know where I'm going, or I don't know what all of the details of the plan are. So I'm just going to have to stay dug in and stuck until I know all of the facts. And sometimes that's smart to be that way with certain things. But when it comes to your life path and it comes to the next experience that is like on your spiritual bucket list that you came here to experience, that you may or may not know what that is, there is such a place of flowing and walking into that. And sometimes the path is like materializing in front of you step by step. And it is an act of faith. It is surrender. It is trust. It is merging with the source, merging with the source, becoming that, and trusting that. And I know for various reasons we have trust issues. Various reasons we're like, well, I thought that was my intuition, or I thought that was the right thing to do, and then I got burned badly. Whatever it is. But don't let the fear of, what if this doesn't turn out like I thought it would, or what if I make the wrong choice? Don't let those ideas stop you from aligning with your true calling, with your getting back on the path, onto an elevated path that you came here to experience. unless you want to experience contraction and you want to experience, being fearful and like what that's like, and that's also a worldly experience as well. And the card here that was next. This is the Four of Crystals. This is it's like a little muskrat. And crystals are like shields or pentacles. It has to do with our abundance, our material success. It has to do with our, health, all the earthly things. And this has to do with our sense of security. And this has to do with like our sense of control. Okay. And this is the overarching message, not only of this card, but also of this message, this reading in general. Remember how I said that you're only responsible for your reaction or the actions that you take in a situation? That's all you're in control of. You are absolutely not in control of anything else, because you know what the universe actually is. Like probably 99.9% of the time is chaos. It is just randomness. And it is all of these variables that are just kind of, whirring by each other, and all these different components and parts. And then every once in a while, it just miraculously, no time, no schedule, no nothing, it just gets ordered and beautiful and like orchestrated and perfect. It could be for a couple seconds. It could be what feels like a lifetime or eons or whatever it is. And then it just kind of goes poof and goes back out into just complete unordered chaos. And that's actually how stuff is. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just energy, just bumping into each other. And sometimes it's beautiful when it alchemizes and combines and orders. But we're really not in control of much at all, And that's really okay. But I know for a lot of people, that is crippling. That just feels so scary that you're really not in control of a lot of stuff. But the thing is that if you're able to really, really hone in on what you are in control of, which is your reaction and your action to situations, which can involve a whole lot of things, taking responsibility for that, then that's where your focus is. And if your focus is on you, where you're at, where your energy is, and moment by moment, how you are reacting, how you feel, the energy that you're putting out, maybe the energies that you've absorbed that you need to clear, all of that, then that is being very present, that is being very anchored in your experience, and that is getting like as much as you can possibly get out of this thing that we call life. And so if you're experiencing fear, if you're experiencing dread, if you're experiencing burnout, if you're experiencing just uneasiness or anything, all of that is fine. All of that is okay. But that's what your experience is. And if you don't want to experience that, then you have to shift, like let go of some of that stuff and make room for other energies to come in. Okay? So yes, Jordan says, yes, that he tells his kids that he helps all the time. The only thing you control is yourself. Yes, that is true. And sometimes that seems really scary, but it's like that same kind of statement is also very empowering at the same time, right? But we do live in a world of duality. That's the Earth School lesson. Okay. Let me see. I do have the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and I may pull from that here in just a moment. I want to pull an animal oracle card, even though the tarot cards that I just pulled had animals on them. This is the Divine Animals Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. The artwork is just really, really beautiful on this deck. And this is an oracle deck, so it's not tarot. It's just going to have symbolism and images of animals, and then it is going to have the the lady that designed this is going to have her own interpretation of what these these animals represent. But then of course I always have my own kind of intuitive feeling about it as well. So let us see what comes forward with the animal oracle. And I have one of my cats who Evan named Stripes, and if you can imagine, he is a tabby cat. He's meowing very loudly outside of the studio door because my studio at home is also where the cat food is. So he's like, bitch, open the door. Oh, and how funny. We pulled a lynx, which is also a cat. Look at this little lynx here. Now the lynx is guarding what looks like almost like a sphere or a mirror, and there is someone inside. And we have like this very kind of watery energy here, but then there's all of this kind of fire and almost like passionate energy around that. Okay. And the links, the keyword on this card is secrets. Okay. And so the feeling that I get about this card before I read the description out of the book, but the feeling that I get about this card is twofold. This is one, that if you are feeling like those ideas like that we kind of just talked about in the tarot card pulls, those ideas, those kind of new things that are maybe kind of like percolating and brewing, this kind of new direction on the horizon, or things that you're kind of working through that are in your internal landscape right now that haven't really come to the surface yet. Like, it's okay to guard those things as precious things. Maybe if you are like starting a new business idea, or you're just going to be making a big shift in your life, for your health or just your like well-being, or like whatever it is, sometimes you kind of want to keep that close because you're like, it is the sacred special thing, and maybe it's there, but you haven't like fully formulated all the words or the plan yet. And sometimes it's really hard if you're like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do, or I'm going to try to change. And then like the people around you are like, well, that's dumb. Or like they're kind of like cutting it down and like poking a bunch of holes in it before you've been able to kind of really bring it up into the surface where you feel very confident in that, or you feel very sure. And so you might want to safeguard that a little bit, and that's okay. But don't let that secret, sacred thing stay in the internal landscape forever, because you're like, I'm afraid if I bring it out into reality, then what if it doesn't work out? Or if it wasn't like what I thought it would be, or whatever. Like, don't let fear keep it only inside and tucked away, instead of you being able to have the opportunity to experience it in your real manifested reality too. Okay. This is also number 2. Okay. So this is another 2. So let me see what Stacey DeMarco has to say about the lynx. So cats have such a graceful energy about them as well. And this is saying, let's see, saying not to gossip, and to be shrewd about who you share your confidential information with. A little mystery can be a good thing, but keeping secrets that are detrimental to others may not be. There is some news worth sharing, but be discerning. Okay, so I feel like that is kind of building on some things perfect to keep kind of sacred, quiet, whatever, inside until maybe the timing is right. But then also don't keep things locked away forever. If this fear is holding you back, or something too, in regards to secrets, okay, or something that you aren't sharing, or you aren't, or that someone has shared with you, is that you are going to have your own moral compass, your ethical compass, when it comes to what is something that someone has asked you not to share or not to say. And if you feel that you should keep that to yourself, or if maybe for the greater good, to protect someone else or something like that, that you do need to share that information. But of course, trying to be as upfront as possible in a situation. If someone said, please don't say anything, but blah, 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 whatever it is, that, maybe you said, well, I don't want to know if I'm going to be held to that, or whatever. So that's definitely very moral compass type thing. But then also, like I said, really the feeling that I'm getting is really more about this life path stuff that is sacred to you in the internal landscape that you're guarding now, but it's like, don't just guard it forever. Okay. Let's see what else this says. It's talking about the links and all the things I do. Okay, so let us read about the magic of the links. I said, is the perfect magic to weave when you are making a vow to yourself or another, a magic that is wild in its nature but focused on its intent. Ensure you are clear with your intentions up front. You know, cats can see in the dark, you know, they are super, super ninja stealthy, graceful, and can be, you know, if you've ever seen, and I'm sorry for anybody who's like, this is a traumatizing example, but if you've ever seen like a cat watching like a bird or a squirrel or something, they can sit so still, or they can take like one little step and just pause, and then take another step like a minute later and pause. Like, they're such little predators. You know, and then they might just take that moment, that exact pristine moment, where then they pounce, you know, then they jump and try to, you know, eat basically. But they are completely focused. They are completely focused and not looking at anything else. If they look at anything else, or anything else, you know, crosses their path, then they've completely lost their focus on that prize, you know, that they were focusing on. So I think that you're being called to be focused on things that are really, really important, and to also just, you know, like, keep the distractions out of your periphery, unless it's kind of like something that is maybe like more pertinent information that you might need to readjust again or something like that. Okay. I also feel the balance of fire and water with this card. As we know, all of the elements can work together. Fire will warm water and turn it into steam, so there's that transmutation energy. Water can also soothe and put out fire. So kind of think about the alchemy of fire and water, and how they can work together, or how they could neutralize each other as well. All right, let us pull just a few from the Rider-Waite deck. I could do these all night. I'm always like, I'll just pull so many cards, and I'm like, oh, I just pulled some more. So let me pull a couple of cards and see what else we need to know. Those of us that are together here on the live, those of us who are, you know, watching this reading at any time, because like I said, I will be posting this on my YouTube channel after I've kind of edited it down a little bit. I was going to take off the, you know, kind of the stuff at the front that I'm just like blabbing about. So we have one card. I'm going to pull two more. First card that, okay, Pentacles and Pages of Cups. Sorry, King of Pentacles, and we have Page of Cups. Let's see what else we get. Let's see what else we need to know. Okay, I'm going to pull one from the bottom. And one from the top. Fun. Okay, cool. So we have the King of Pentacles. Okay, Page of Cups. My loud child talking in the background. We have Eight of Cups reversed. Yeah, that's eight. Eight of Cups reversed. And then we have the Hanged Man. Okay, so this is saying to me that, you know, the King of Pentacles is the, you've got everything all figured out. You are ruling your domain. You got everything you need. You're just kind of sitting there looking over the fruits of your labor. Okay. And this is very much a kind of like a settled in energy, you know. It's just saying, like, you're just kind of like just owning that energy. Like, the King of Pentacles isn't like worrying, twiddling their thumbs, you know, like, I don't know what to do. Like, they know what to do. They've already done it, and now they're just like, yeah, I'm just like enjoying like all the stuff that I got, right? And we'll pull this all together. The Page of Cups. The Page of Cups, the page is like some, you know, he is bringing you something. He is, you know, it's a message. It's telling, you know, coming, something is being brought to you. And of course, cups are, you know, our emotions. It has to do with our relationships. Hi, Stripes. Stripes just says hello. you know, he has cat food. Like there's cat food in the bowl, but it's just not like overflowing. So he's mad. Hi. But the page is bringing information. It could be this kind of like excited, kind of more like boisterous, excitable, like, oh, you know, hey, like interrupting the party or the conversation, like, hey, I gotta say something, I gotta interject, you know. And I don't know if you notice, there's a little fish. There's a little fish in the cup there, okay, and the water's behind him. So this is to me talking about something being offered to you that is going to meet an emotional need, or that is going to have some kind of emotional connection for you. Now the Eight of Cups, which this was reversed, but the Eight of Cups upright, you know, there are all these cups that are stacked up on top of each other. You see the 8 cups there, and then the person is walking off away from the cups towards the moon. He's got his kind of like his staff, so he can kind of traverse the rocky landscape there. But this being reversed, this is telling me, or this feels like you are walking away from, or there are things in your past that you may want to either walk away from and just like feel okay with it, or that you maybe have you have built so much, you actually have more than you have accounted for, or you have more things to be an appreciation of, or like just like those well-rounded experiences that you're kind of like not acknowledging. Okay, it's like what's kind of like what's being left behind because you just don't need it anymore, or what's being left behind because you're just like, you know, I'm not acknowledging, I just don't even want to look at that, but it's still there. It's still there. All right, and this card was reversed. Now the last card is Stripes. Oh my god, if it's not the dogs, it's the cat or the kid. But the Hanged Man here was upright, and the Hanged Man, come here, is definitely, this is my big huge boy tabby cat, Mr. Stripey. The Hanged Man is that completely, whether you want to accept this or not, it is this completely on purpose suspended animation that you have found yourself in. And usually it's not that anyone else has put you in that position, even though you may feel like they have, or a situation has like happened to you. But it is truly the choice of not doing, of being still, so that you can get the insight that you need, so that you can get that wisdom from stillness and of contemplation and of introspection. And you know, sorry, I was showing it to you that way. He's upside down. He is gaining wisdom. Look at his aura, his halo above his head. He is gaining wisdom from this pause, from this wait. And this is, you know, this is about like, you know, the story of Odin when he hung from the tree of knowledge and carved out his own eye, and, you know, all of this stuff. But then, you know, got just everything. You know, he knows everything now after going through this thing. And so this card is telling me that if you are in a state of where you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you can't move and there's nowhere to go, it's like go within and just like be receptive and be open to whatever this situation is like affording you. And it's basically like as soon as you like give into that and you say, okay, well, I'm really here because I put myself in this situation one way or the other, okay, then that's when like it clicks, and then you're like, you are no longer hanging upside down. You're just like, you know, you get out of that and you're like, okay, well, I learned what I needed to learn, and now I can move forward. And so I feel like a lot of the undercurrent of all of these cards is really like taking responsibility for your own emotional well-being, your life lessons, for the things that you have or the things that you are lacking. That, yes, so many things can be situational, so many things can be, well, this happened, this happened, this happened, and this is where I'm at. But really, literally, it's where you're at is where you're at. And so when you kind of are able to take responsibility for that and just get a status check of where you are, see what you need to carry with you, the lessons that is almost like the essence of the lessons or the experiences that you need to understand and integrate, and then leave the rest behind. You don't have to remember all the minutiae of all the details. Well, then this happened, and then this happened, and this happens. What's the essence of the message? What is the essence of the point of you going through something, or having certain kind of emotional relationship patterns or things like that? The point is to learn. The point is to shine light, shed light on whatever was hidden to you, whatever was kind of that you didn't have an understanding of, and it's to bring that into your awareness, and then you are free. You are not being held back by all of these energies. I feel like with the Page of Cups, just kind of hopping back to this, I don't feel personally that this is like the most important card in all four of these here. I feel like it has a lesser weight of some of the other cards. But I feel like this is kind of talking back to our Mercury retrograde talk about communication. And also with our links message of being clear and concise, and saying, like, making that call on like what is important to keep close, to the chest, what is important to express and, go ahead and put out into the world. And that if there is something that you kind of want to move through now before Mercury goes retrograde, if there's anything that you kind of need to, get out into motion, like now is the time to do that before Mercury goes retrograde. Otherwise, you can make the intention to maybe sit on that, to kind of stew on it, be in that almost like hanged man energy of getting that introspection and that knowledge from the introspection as we're in that review time during Mercury retrograde, and then knowing that as the energy shifts again, that you're going to come out on the other side with a fresh perspective, but you're going to really have a better understanding of what you are, where you're going, what you're moving into, or what you needed to learn from this part of your life. And I feel that with the King of Pentacles, which of course we started this little part of the reading with, I feel like for a lot of you, that your ideas of safety, security, money, and your worth, your value, and also what you value, that all of that, you've gone through many trials and tribulations, and you are going through a major shift with those types of things in your life right now. And then that, basically how we feel safe, how we feel like we're going to survive, which is a root chakra thing, then that flows up and into and around all of the other aspects in our life. So if we're not feeling abundant, or we're not feeling safe, or we're not feeling like, we have a roof over our head, or how are we going to pay these bills or whatever, that's going to flow into our friendships, our relationships, our creativity, our stress, our intuition is going to flow into all the other chakras, right? So it's like, being able to be in that state of having that grounded security and trust that, you are going to survive even if you don't know how, that is kind of like the starting point. And then everything will line up if you're coming from that mantra, that space of I am safe. And sometimes it's just saying that mantra, it's being in the root chakra and saying I am safe, and doing that root chakra work and grounding and like all the things that that we've talked about earlier this evening, because when we come from a grounded place, and we come from a place of feeling that we are safe, then that is the energy that we're putting out into the world. If we're just like going I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'm scared. You know, then that is the energy that is kind of getting mixed up into everything else. Then we don't trust people. Then we don't trust our intuition. You know, we have creative blocks. Like, you know, we're not sleeping. Like all this kind of stuff, right? So it's very much affects everything else. Hello, Mr. Stripey. Thank you. So, so if you can do things that help you feel safe, whether it's saying a mantra, it's doing grounding, it is, you know, maybe surrounding yourself with not a ton of people, but, you know, certain people or situations, a therapist, a close friend, a trusted family member, something like that, that can kind of help you feel safe, you know, if it's a kind of situation that you would maybe need some help with safety and security, or somebody who can kind of help bolster your own trust that you have in yourself. That's going to be very, very helpful for you. Or you might also be called to be in that role for someone else. And it's not just like carrying somebody else's responsibilities, or, you know, like doing something for someone else and like enabling them to be, you know, whatever, you know, to not take care of themselves or not work through something or whatever. But sometimes, like, we just, you know, are called to kind of temporarily be that rock for that person, you know, to kind of set that example, to kind of give them a bit of a boost, or a confidence boost, or trust in themselves, or help them learn a skill, or just get on their feet or something like that. And then that's all they needed, you know, right? So you may be called to be that for someone else as well. Okay. So I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.